The class had just settled in when the teacher asked the students a simple question: who is your hero? Most children smiled excitedly, ready to speak about celebrities, athletes, or fictional characters. But then, one boy slowly raised his hand, stood up, and said something that made the entire class fall silent, and later brought his father to tears. This story begins not in the classroom, but in a small, modest home where a father named Ryan sat at the edge of his bed, staring at his worn-out work boots. They were old, cracked, and covered in dust from long shifts at the construction site. He touched them gently, the same way a man touches a reminder of his struggles. Every day, he promised himself he would buy a new pair, just like he promised himself he would one day give his son a better life. But promises were easier to make when your heart was full and your pockets were empty. Ryan was a single father raising his 11-year-old son, Ion. Their life wasn't perfect, far from it. Some nights, dinner was tea and leftover bread. Some days, bills were pushed a little further, hoping tomorrow would be kinder. Still, Ryan worked hard, sometimes taking double shifts, sometimes skipping meals, just so his son could stay in school, have books, and feel like he belonged in a world that often judged people by the size of their wallets. But kids notice things. Kids feel things. Kids hear things adults don't want them to hear. Ion had heard classmates whisper about his father's old bike, about his cheap shoes, about the way his dad arrived covered in dust from work. He heard it all. And each time, he swallowed the hurt, pretending it didn't matter, until one day, it did. That day, the teacher asked the students to speak about their heroes. As usual, some mentioned actors. Some mentioned YouTubers. One boy bragged loudly that his hero was a billionaire who never worked dirty jobs like losers. A few kids laughed. Then that boy turned to Ion and smirked. At least my hero isn't someone who digs holes all day and comes to school smelling like dust. A few more laughs. The teacher tried to hush them, but it was too late, the words had landed. Ion stood up slowly, not angry, but firm, like someone who had waited long enough. My hero, he said in a steady voice, is my father. The class went quiet. The teacher froze. The boy who joked looked down, suddenly unsure. Ion continued, voice shaking but strong. My father wakes up before sunrise. He works harder than anyone I know. He doesn't complain, even when he's tired. He doesn't buy things for himself because he wants me to have everything. He's not dirty, he's brave. He's not a loser, he's a hero. And I'm proud of him. The teacher's eyes softened. Some kids looked guilty. Some looked impressed. But the boy who needed to hear it the most wasn't even there. At home, Ryan had no idea what had happened. He was sitting alone on the small balcony, exhausted, thinking of whether he should take a third shift this week. His hands were blistered. His back ached. His heart felt heavy with the weight of not being enough. When Ion returned home, he hugged his father from behind, something he hadn't done in years. What happened? Ryan asked, surprised. Ion didn't answer at first. He simply held on tighter, as if trying to tell his father something without words. Finally, he whispered, I told everyone in school today, that you're my hero. Ryan blinked, stunned. Why would you say that? He asked, his voice cracking. Because it's true, Ion said. I see everything you do. I know how hard you work. I know you don't sleep sometimes. I know you pretend things are fine even when they're not. And I want you to know I'm proud of you, Baba. Even if no one else sees it, I do. Ryan felt his throat close. For a moment, the world blurred. Then the tears came, quiet at first, then unstoppable. He pulled his son close and held him as if holding the strength he never knew he needed. That night, something changed. Not their home. Not their money. But their hearts. Ryan suddenly felt lighter, stronger, more alive. He realized that being a good father wasn't about having money, it was about being present, being loving, being the kind of man your child could look up to. From that day on, Ryan worked with a new sense of purpose. And Ayan walked into school with his head held high, no longer ashamed of their struggles, because he finally understood. Heroes don't wear capes. Heroes don't live in mansions. Heroes don't always win. Sometimes heroes wear dusty boots, come home tired, sacrifice silently, and love loudly. And sometimes it takes a child to remind them of just how heroic they truly are. So if you're watching this right now, don't forget to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe to the channel, because somewhere out there, someone needs this message today. You don't need to be perfect to be a hero. You just need to love, deeply, honestly, and endlessly.